If people don't know you, let's start off with what did you do for a living from school?
So, yeah, obviously the podcast is the Talking Tradesman, but me personally, I'm a painter and decorator.
Shit! Oh, shit!
Oh, here we go.
Oh, no!
Here we go. Am I the first one?
No.
In fact,
Yeah,
have
you
you
are
had any
the first
others?
painter.
Did you see
Am I the
our,
first?
Did you see our video?
No.
He's probably the only painter
Hold
that
on.
didn't
He's
see
the only
it.
one who didn't see it. You don't do any sort of form of mixed martial arts or anything either, do you?
I was a bailiff for 4 years, mate.
Oh.
Tell the comedian things like that.
Oh, he was a bailiff.
Yeah.
You didn't just
Did
call
you,
him a
did
comedian.
you accidentally make that mistake and say, can't paint, we'll take it away? Can't pay, we'll take it away. Is that what it was?
I never did that, mate. I should have. Although it would have been a
what, how
one-person
you
joke.
did it
wouldn't
So
for
what
Yeah.
made you come
4
out?
years, mate.
What made you come
4
out?
years. Come out of the trade to do
Yeah,
that.
this week when this comes out, it's actually Mental Health Week. Apparently,
you do
Yeah.
That topic is within your. That's what your podcast is about, isn't
Absolutely,
it? Mental
mate,
health within the trades
Yeah.
industry. And how did that come about? You thinking about doing that? Was there a reason for it? Was there a prominent fault? Or
There's probably a 10-year journey to. So the Talking Tradesman podcast is what I've launched, and the whole, I guess, the mission statement of that is to raise mental health awareness in construction. Because there's a crisis in construction when it comes to men's mental health in particular.
welcome to Off the Job. We are in.
You forgot his name, haven't you?
No, I ain't. I know Russell. I know it's Russell. I know it's Russell Payne. I was trying to come in with a because normally he pulled me last week and he goes. I always go. We've got a special guest, and you go. You say that about every guest. Do you know what I mean?
So have you took my special away?
No, I'm not taking it away. I was going to say super special guest.
I thought I was just going to be the first just guest.
Yeah.
No, he's not just a guest.
Just a guest.
This is Russ Payne from the Talking Tradesman.
Cheers, gents. Yeah,
Thanks for joining
having me
us.
in.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
We're in the same profession now.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Aspiring podcasters.
Yeah.
So, no, mate, very much appreciated you guys.
Well,
having me in today, so
you've
thank
made the effort. You're the travelling guest because you've come all the way from like West Midlands, mate. So like we are very
thanks for coming
grateful
down.
for you.
It's nice to be on this side of things, actually, because for once, it's like the pressure's on you.
Mate, I don't feel pressure. I don't know if you've ever seen what I do, but I don't feel pressure. Well,
Saying that, you got to do more of the talking. We just have to think of the questions
Yeah, we
as you
just think
talk.
of
Do you know what? Yeah, it's nice to be on the opposite side of things
Yeah.
because I'm usually in like that position. So yeah.
Do you plan out your questions or you just do it on the spot? Yeah.
No, I've done a few podcasts and some of them are like really scripted. I guess it's whichever way you want to do it.
Yeah.
I did one a couple of weeks ago and I had this big manuscript through and I actually said, I was like, no offense, but I'm not going to read it. I was like, because if I read it, the way my mind goes, I'll overthink it. And then I'll be thinking, oh, what should I say there for 3 days before we record? So no, me personally, nothing is scripted. There's no set questions. It's just, I try and keep it as close to a natural conversation as I can.
Because
and
you
it
learn
just
on the
goes where it
spot,
goes.
don't you?
Yeah. And I find if you have a script, you kind of, it's like you're on a road, you don't want to go too far off it. So some of the times with the conversations I'm having, they really like.
well, the
go
thing
off.
is, if you've got a script and you go off kilter and then you come back, it might not make sense the way you come back to, mightn't it? Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
So it's sort of like, we just do everything off the sort of
Yeah.
I
off
like
the
that.
cuff.
I mean, it's not knocking anyone that does script it. It's
There's
just,
no right
yeah.
or wrong way to do it, is there?
No,
It's
that's
just what
it.
works
It's
for
what
you,
works
isn't
for
it?
me.
So, let's start off with, because if people don't know you, let's start off with what do you do? What did you do for a living from school?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
so still doing it. So yeah, obviously the podcast is the Talking Tradesman, but me personally, I'm a painter and decorator.
Shit! Shit!
Oh, here we go.
Oh no!
Here we go. Am I the first one?
No.
In fact,
Yeah,
have
you
had
are
any
the first
others?
Did you
Am
see
Am I the
our?
first?
Did you see our video?
No.
He's probably the only painter that
on.
didn't
He's
see
the only
it.
one who didn't see it. Fuck you.
We're showing
Well,
off
you
that.
don't do any sort of form of mixed martial arts or anything either, do you?
Wow. No, I don't.
you know what I mean?
We're all right. You're safe. You're safe.
He's gonna go for Instagram and he's gonna go, right, pull that podcast out. We ain't meant to do this.
It's basically me. We've taken the mick out of painters.
When we was doing this gaff up, we just had a little bit of banter, didn't we? And we said about painters and decorators and saying how easy a job it is and all that. And we was on my page. I didn't even tag him in it. It hit like over 7 million views. And it's like all these painting and decorators coming at us now. We were just having a laugh.
Look at the level of research you boys do. You don't even know what trade I'm in.
So it's just that like, having a laugh and all that. But Yeah, so you started off painting and decorating, what, straight from school?
Still doing, mate. Yeah, so I'm third generation. So it's a family business,
You
Pete.
do proper.
The family business you've insulted right the way down to my ancestors.
All of them.
The whole family,
and
mate.
his name as well, Russ Payne. I mean, you're not going to inflict any of us, are you now?
Well, you never know. You never know.
Just so you know, we did know you as a painter.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
we did know you as a painter and decorator.
So yeah, third generation decorator. I was literally born into it. And when people ask me how long I was doing it, I'm like, I was born with a brush in my hand.
Yeah.
For as far back as I can remember. I mean, what actually happened was my mum and dad split up when I was 8, and I lived with my dad, stayed with my dad, who was a decorator and still in business, self-employed as well. So all the holidays, Easter holidays, summer holidays, stuff like that, I had a choice, which was well, there was no choice. I had to go to work. My choice was I can either sit and read 442 magazine back to front 20 times, or I can earn a bit of money. So I got involved and, started off sanding stuff and then eventually painting stuff, stripping wallpaper, all that lot when I was a kid. By the time I was 15, I was running jobs for my dad. So, yeah, I left school, came out of school, spent a year. I was determined I was not going to be a decorator. Absolutely not, no chance. Spent a year doing agency work out of school, and I was like, you know what, actually, being a decorator's all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, went back to it, mate. Took the business over at 17 and been running it ever since.
Is it just you?
Me and some subbies, yeah. So ever since that time of our history where we couldn't work, or we were told we couldn't work, prior to that, I'd got 5 lads on, so there were 6 of us. Since then, I've cut the team down a bit, so it's just me and a couple of subbies now. But I specialise in high-end domestic work now, so a lot of our clients, we work in some stunning houses.
It's better to do the high end, isn't it, rather than that?
Yeah,
Especially with painting.
You must be pretty tasty if you've been doing it that long as well. Since a kid,
I should hope so.
I would expect you to be like a high-end quality.
Do you know what, mate?
Not just a tosher.
Yeah.
Call them
No,
toshers.
mate, there's a difference between painters and decorators.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a decorator. But I've dipped my toe into all the demographics. I've done the council work, I've done the insurance work, I've done commercial. But over the last probably 5-6 years, I've pushed into high-end domestic, and that's where I've settled. So that's still what I'm doing today.
Is that all new build, or is it just refurbs?
Very rarely do new build. Most of it's refurb work. We work for a few interior designers, stuff like that. So do some of the more bespoke stuff like spray finishing, cabinetry spray finishing, high-end wallpaper hanging, refurb work, period property restoration, those kind of slightly more niche.
You got a better van than me.
Don't know what van you got.
That piece of shit outside the screen and white.
Maybe.
It's funny. My mum and dad broke up when I was 8, and my dad's a painter and decorator.
Really?
Yeah.
But I never become a painter and decorator.
You took the right route.
He
mate.
used to take me, and I was like, I'm not rubbing down windows.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you know what?
I don't mean to but Russ, see, this is Kieran's idea. Yeah, that'll be all right.
Should have put a bit of tape on that, mate. That wouldn't have happened
That's
then.
what we said, didn't we?
No,
String
they
tape.
put the tape on it. It was the wrong tape.
Yeah, but we did say to you that's never going to go well, and you said that'd be all right with a bit of paint over it, and your dad did say to you that is not going to go, and you wouldn't listen, and here we are, great crack window in the wall still.
Framed. Yeah, nice. But then again, you have to squint to see it, don't you?
Exactly.
But yeah,
Can't see it on the camera.
there's been a couple of occasions where I dipped out the trade. I worked as a contract manager. I went like suit and tie for just over a year. And there was another period in my 20s where I dipped out of the trade for a few years as well. But primarily I've been in the trade.
What else did you do?
I'm gonna say this
I
to you,
see-
mate,
I
as
see,
a
actually,
comedian.
I see a video as you're a
Yeah,
bailiff.
you already know.
What?
Yeah. I was a bailiff for 4 years, mate.
Oh,
Tell the comedian things like that.
Oh, he was a bailiff.
Yeah.
You didn't just
Did
call
you,
him a
did you
comedian.
accidentally make that mistake and say, can't paint, we'll take it away? Can't pay, we'll take it away. Is that what it was?
I never did that, mate. I should have. Although it would have been a one-person
you
joke.
did it
wouldn't
for
So
it?
what
Yeah.
made you come
4
out?
years, mate.
What made you
4
come out?
years. Come out of the trade to do
Yeah.
that. To be fair, mate, this is one of the problems of being self-employed. It was to buy a house. So I built the business up from 17 to 22. At that point, I'd got a young family, and I did everything as you should. I put everything through, built the accounts up nicely to I was earning a decent amount of money. Went to the bank and asked for a mortgage, and the bank were like, nah, this was just after. You remember when you used to be able to self-certify? And then everything crashed. So it was about 2-3 years after that. So the banks were being really stringent on giving out mortgages. And I went to the bank and they basically said, look, we can give you a mortgage, but I'd been able to buy a 1-bed flat. So while I was sort of like looking around as to options of what I could do, I saw this advert come up. And it was, I think at the time, I was 24, so we're talking like nearly 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
But the on-target earnings were like 60 grand a year after 3 months training. So I thought,
Oh, they get commission, do they?
I can. Oh yeah. It's
I
all
never
commission,
do that.
mate. Yeah, it's all commission. What I did was, so I was, first of all, to clarify, I was what they refer to as a court certificated bailiff. So we only enforced court orders, so it was things that had been through court.
Yeah, you wasn't like, you didn't work for Mr. Big or anything like that.
Nah, not officially. No. But no, it was nothing like, we weren't chasing phone bills and things like that. It was all, we did a lot of business rates and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, intended to do it for a very short period of time. I thought I'll do the training,
Just to get on the ladder,
see how I get on, because I thought I might not get on with this. And ended up, I was going to do it for a year max, ended up doing it for 4 years. But the ironic thing is, literally 6 months after starting that job, the bank couldn't throw the mortgage at me fast enough. And the thing with that was the payroll, I think it was peanuts, the salary. It was about 14 grand a year. So it was very low. And the rest of it was all bonus scheme, which you could realistically miss and just take your 14 grand home. But the bank saw that as a solid bet. So I took them 3 months pay slips after 6 months and they wanted to give me more money than I wanted then, which I thought was ironic because to me, my self-employed earnings were actually far more reliable.
Yeah.
But the way it was framed by the bank, because technically at that point I was employed, they couldn't throw the mortgage at me fast enough. So yeah, I ended up doing that for 4 years.
So how does it feel then being in a job where it's not an easy job, and especially to be paid commission, you're almost forced to like...
Don't pull your punches, Kieran, you're hated. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're almost like... You're forced to get money
you're
off
in the same
people.
bracket as traffic wardens, isn't you?
Yeah, it's often said, mate. Yeah, it's often said. To be honest with you, not to defend it, because if I'm being honest, I don't regret my time doing it.
No.
I wouldn't do it
You learn
again.
a
Don't
lot
have
from
no
it, yeah.
regrets.
I wouldn't do it again because it was dangerous, to be honest with you. And there were a few close calls to say
was
that
it?
Oh, mate, yeah, the stories, yeah.
You go, well, we want to hear it.
You want to hear all them? How long we got? How long
No,
your
mate, as
episodes?
long as you want, mate. Robbie can fuck his lunch. Wait.
But yeah, mate, it was dangerous. But there's a bit of a misconception with the thing that I did, because everyone, when you say bailiff, everyone has this picture pop in their head generally of like single mum crying baby and you're in there threatening to take the sofa. That just didn't happen.
No.
That was the best way I had it explained to me was it was separating can't pays from won't pays. And genuinely there were occasions where you'd turn up and the geezer's got a Ferrari on the drive.
Yeah.
And he's going, yeah, that business is folded, mate. I ain't paying my bills, And it was just weeding out the people that could and didn't want to.
Yeah.
Versus, because if at the end of the day, if somebody ain't got the money and they
You
can't
ain't got the
pay,
money, yeah.
what can you do?
Yeah.
Well, you take their assets away though, didn't you, I suppose?
Yeah, do you know what? It's a bit outdated, mate, to be honest.
it?
Any
Yeah.
bailiffs watching this guy hate me because the reality of second-hand sales when it comes to furniture, they're worth nothing. So we basically used to get instructed to not bother,
Right.
So unless you'd got a very obvious high-value asset like a car. But everyone's financed their cars these days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, I don't know, there's a lot, society's changed a lot from when I first did that job. Because, I mean, as I say, it was like 15 years ago. But it was, I earned good money, got my house out of it, intended to get out. If I'm being honest, got hooked on the money, as you do. And it took me about 3.5-4 years. I got headhunted halfway through by another. I used to do civil warrants, so things like business rates, and I got headhunted by another company to do magistrates warrants. Totally different side of the coin. So you go from the civil side to the criminal side. So you go from people that haven't paid their business rates to people that have been fined in court for like, if you're dealing with somebody for
Dark
like,
charges.
well, say you get somebody's assaulted a police officer and part of that is like a 600 quid fine and they haven't paid the fine. Well, to be quite frank, they ain't going to give a monkeys about me turning up, are they? If they're happy to hit a copper.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took a turn when I started doing that.
Oh, really? So what did you take any, did you get any, obviously, threats of violence then? And
Mate, threats of violence were daily.
Right.
That was a daily. If I'm being honest.
acts of violence?
Yeah, I did the job for 4 years and probably there were only 10 times where it got really hairy. But in that sort of thing, I mean, I got driven into twice. I'd say ran over, but the car didn't actually go over me. But yeah, I got driven into twice. I had the van rammed. I got attacked with an axe. I got attacked with a sledgehammer. I had a gun pointed at me. I had knives to my neck. I had petrol poured on me. All sorts.
Bit different to rubbing down a skirting board, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit different. A little bit different.
Yeah.
Probably worse than being a police officer, isn't it?
I got escorted out of a county once by the police because I'd upset the wrong family. And they were threatening to burn us alive in the van. And the police's response actually was, lads, they actually might do it. So can we escort, rather than arrest the people,
Right.
they escorted us out of the county. I was like, you really got to take us that far? And they went, yeah, because it's like a following. So, yeah.
Jeez.
So I suppose as soon as you turn up at the door, their mood changes to aggression, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's situation dependent. There were certain groups of people that were harder to deal with than others. I mean, a lot of what we did, so I did like business rates. So I collected money from big businesses, household name businesses. So it was dead easy. You'd turn up at their offices and it would just be a case of, paperwork, mishap. Somebody forgot to put the right bit of paper in the right hole and a bill got missed. And you'd turn up and just speak to accounts and they'd get it sorted while they made you a cup of tea. On the other hand, you'd go to a scrapyard in Birmingham and they'd set the dogs on you. So it would be like polar opposites.
At the start, it must have been hard to get used to like that day-to-day change of like emotion and not knowing what's going to happen.
If I'm honest, when I did it, I was 24 when I started doing that job. So I was a young lad.
You got a different
different mentality.
That was it. I was, if I'm, I was switched off. I was cold. I was more aggressive as a person myself. So I was a different person at that time. But it was weird because I've said this before when I was talking about it. You end up in this bizarre, it's like a toxic boys club. Because I met some great mates while I was doing the job, and you end up being this little clique of men, as it were. We'd meet up for a coffee halfway through the day and compare war stories, and it became this weird toxic environment where it was like in court. It was like, you got run over today. I had somebody, take a swing at me. And not that it's the same. The only thing I can liken it to, mentality-wise, would maybe be being in the services where you put yourself in a position of harm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was unpredictable. You never knew whether you were knocking a door and it would all go calmly or whether it would kick off. Generally, if it kicked off instantly. But there were some funny times as well. Had some funny stories out of it.
Yeah. What like?
I've got to tell a comedian a funny story.
Let's. I'm not a comedian, right? We're trying to be a comedian. Do you know what I mean?
Aspiring.
But
okay, the one that comes to mind, mate, I remember doing a job up in Nottingham, and how can I put it? There were a particular demographic of people that we just didn't like dealing with because you never got anywhere. It's more hassle than it's worth. Maybe if I say a lot of them speak with an Irish accent.
Got ya.
Yeah. So, and no disrespect to them, I actually admire their way of life. I quite like their sort of like mentality of it. But on this particular occasion, we had a job and it was listed down as a cottage. So I thought, okay. So I've got a driver with me. So it's just me and a driver. I'm in the passenger side of the van. And we're going down this lane, double lane, narrowed into a single lane, big hedgerows on either side of us. And I start seeing, as we're going down the lane, a caravan. And there's a caravan.
I'm just thinking of the film Snatch here for whatever reason.
Mate, very much like that.
Yeah.
Very much like that. So we're going down this lane. I start seeing the odd caravan pop up, and I'm like, I'm not sure. But then soon enough, it was very apparent where I'd took us.
Yeah.
But we couldn't turn around because we were like hedgerows either side, big van. And I said to the driver, I was like, mate, as soon as you can turn us around and go. I never used to bother. It just wasn't worth the hassle. No. There were all sorts of problems. Anyway, we got to the end of the lane, which was literally a dead end with a turning circle. Got the van turned round, and by the time we came back up the lane, there was a pickup truck across the lane blocking it, and 4 lads stood there. I was like, here we go. Wound the window down about that much. Bloke come up to the window. He went, who are you looking for? I was like, don't matter, mate. I said, look, just move your vehicle out of the way and we'll be off. They knew who we were, white van, suits on. He went, no, who are you looking for? I said, well, the name on the paperwork is this, but, just move your van and we'll be on our way. I don't want no trouble. He was like, you ain't going to try and take nothing? I said, no, I ain't interested, mate. He says, oh, right. He said, well, it's me. I went, all right, okay. And he started telling me the reasons why he hadn't set. It was like a parking fine or something. Starts telling me these reasons. And this bloke, he was quite friendly in fairness, but he stood next to my passenger window. So he's framed there. And as we're talking, over the hedge behind him, just over his shoulder, pops over a zebra. I kid you not, a zebra, right? And I'm talking to the bloke, and this zebra pops up, and I've looked.
Proper thrown up.
Mate, honestly, I've said to the geezer, I'm like, mate, I got to stop you. Is that a zebra? And he just takes one look at me and he goes, well, it's not a fucking stripy horse. I'm creasing. I've gone, mate, why have you got a zebra? He just I can't tell you that. That was it. I'm like, it was one of the most surreal moments of my life. We drove off and the driver, like, they moved the car out of the way, let us go and all the rest of it. And the driver was like, did that really happen? I'm like, I think it did, yeah. I'm like, some crazy moments, mate.
That's crazy.
But yeah, there were some funny moments on the job, some very serious moments on the job. But I rode my luck, mate. I did it for too long. Got to the point where I had a very hairy moment at the end, and that swerved it for me. I was like,
yeah, give us a juicy story.
Well, as to why?
The heavy moment.
Like, give us a heavy moment.
So I started working for the company that were collecting magistrates' fines. Went to collect a debt from somebody, just had a name on a bit of paper. Turned up at a house in Birmingham. Car that we were looking for was on the drive. Blocked the car in, knocked the door. Bloke come to the back of the door, wouldn't open the door. Told him who I was looking for. He says, he's not in. That's all right, no worries. I said, well, look, if you can get him on the phone, let him know that he needs to pay this, otherwise his car's going. And as I remember, it was a nice BMW, and he only owed about 800 quid. And he was like, no, you can't, he's out of the country, mate. You can't get hold of him, whatever. I said, that's all right. I said, well, we'll take the car. When he gets back, tell him he's got 5 days. He can come and pay for the car, get it back. It's going to cost him more money. I knew it was him behind the door. Yeah. So we went through all this rigmarole. Anyway, I went and got back in the van because he weren't playing ball to do the checks on the car. Got back in the van now. Luckily for me, a couple of weeks before this occasion, the driver I had been attacked. He'd been pulled out the van, so he was really jumpy. So I got back in the van, he locked the door. So anyway, I'm on the phone to the office doing the checks, and I didn't even see the geezer. He'd come out the back of his house, come to the back of the van, come to the window, and he'd got a massive kitchen knife in his hand. Tried to open the door, tried to pull the door open. So what would have happened if that door weren't locked, I don't know. But when I say this bloke was big, like, he blocked out the sun. Like, the geezer was massive. Yeah. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So he's going off at me through the window. I'm like, look, mate, you calm down. I don't want this to get silly. If you carry on, we'll have to call the police, and you don't want that, blah, blah, blah. And he said to me then, he went, mate, call the police. They won't come here. They know who I am. So, a bit of an odd thing to say, but as you do. Anyway, he sort of ranted, raved, punched the side of the van, dented the van, and went back in the house. And I said to the driver, I said, look, if he comes back out the house with anything that'll break the window, let's just go. We get out of here.
You should have drove off straight away.
While I'm talking, the driver's ringing the police. I didn't know he was doing it. Yeah. So the driver's rung the police. And he's gone, Russ, the police are on their way. I'm like, right, how long are they going to be? He said, don't know. No, they won't be long. And within minutes, I can hear sirens. I thought, that can't be for us. Like, it's far too quick. And the whole street, I don't know, there's about 6 police cars turned up. The officers, firearms officers with tasers and all the rest of it get out. And one of the old Bill come up to our window. And again, he said, what are you knocking this bloke's door for? I said, well, yeah, I owes this money, magistrate's fines. He was like, do you know who he is? I was like, no idea, mate. I've got a name on a bit of paper. He was heavily affiliated to a prominent gang in Birmingham and had previous for like firearms offences, ABHG, like you name it. This geezer had done it. So I'm like, I've got no idea, mate. I've just got a name and a bit of paper. So the police are there then, which for me is like coast clear. The police can deal with it. They've gone to the door. Like, they were told he'd got a knife. He'd come to the door, took his top off, didn't have the knife anymore. But there were 2 coppers. He'd got the red dots on his chest, you know, from the tasers. And I'm stood and I'm like, I'm going to see somebody get tasered here. I've never seen this before. The bloke stood there going to the coppers. He's going, go on then, do it. He's going to do it. I've been tasered before, and I guarantee I'll get to you 2 before I go down. So it all blew up. And it kind of levelled out a bit. And one of the police come up to me and he went, at this point, if I'm honest, I just wanted to get out of there. Yeah. But I couldn't because it had gone too far. And the policeman come up to me and he went, well, what you going to do? I said, well, if you can't pay this money, I'll take his car. He went, you going to take his car? So I'm going to have to. He went, good. So the copper went, good, get his car gone. So I'm like, right, okay. I went, well, look, just ask him before I ring the removal if he really wants to go through with this. So the copper went back to him. The policeman come up, he said, he wants to have a word with you. So I had to get out of the van, go up to him. There's 2 policemen in front of me and this bloke. And I say, he's a man mountain, this fella. And he was going, look, And he looked at me and he went, I appreciate you're only doing your job, but I just want to speak. I hate the police. I just want to speak to you. So I want you to come in my house.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like, I went, fella, I'm being funny, but absolutely no chance.
No.
Zero chance to that. And one of the policemen, and he weren't one of the bigger ones, looked at me and he went, well, if I come in with you, will you go? And I'm looking at him and I don't want to insult the policeman. I'm thinking, I went, look, if you keep the door open, kind of thing. So I took a step inside, stood there. Long story short, he ended up actually settling the bill.
Yeah.
But he got somebody to pay it. But the first thing he did was go to the boot of his car and get this big bag of pound coins. Like, I think he owed like 800 quid. He got a big bag of pound coins, dropped it on the floor. He went, there's your money, mate, count it. I took one look at this bag of coins and I went, I can do, mate, but we charge 50 quid every half hour. So if you want us to, if you want to pay.
Is that what you said to him?
Yeah. To be fair to him, at this point, he laughed.
Yeah.
But once I found out, getting back onto why I knocked it on the head, I found out obviously he's gang affiliated, he's a gang member. He was making threats to find me, find my family, do all this kind of stuff. And I thought, you know what, this ain't even that far from home.
Where's me overalls?
Pretty much, mate. That was pretty much how it went, Pete. Yeah, they were bringing some cuts into it. You couldn't earn as much money as you used to. So, yeah, made the decision to get out of it.
Surely they should warn you of these people. Do they not have any knowledge on them at all?
It's discommunication, mate. So the police are aware of him, but the council aren't. Or, you know, you're given a piece of paper with a name, literally, or an offence and a name. Yeah. And the offence doesn't have to be anything drastic. It could be anything, you know.
You're just walking into the unknown, didn't you?
Exactly that.
The name don't mean anything, does it? It's just like...
There was a warning system, but generally something had to happen. So you'd have, like, a previous person had gone to the house and it had kicked off and then they'd flag it. But you're always the first person, you know what I mean? So it's got to kick off for somebody before it gets flagged.
Would you say a lot of younger people do that job rather than, like, you wouldn't see someone going in it? I suppose it depends on your mentality, but you wouldn't see like an older person going in.
There was a mix, mate. I mean, I could bore you with the whole sort of system when it comes to bailiffing, but they had a two-tier system, to explain it briefly, where you would have somebody that would go and seize assets and make a deal, didn't want any money or possessions. And there were a lot of retired police officers and stuff like that used to do that. And then you'd have the people that would turn up if the agreement was defaulted on. And that was the side of the job that I did. And then within that, you'd kind of got two different breeds. You'd got people like, so I always studied, because I'm not massive, but I always studied chapter and verse on the law. So I could turn up and just quote the law. And then there was the lads that were like ex-doorman, ex-military, all those kind of blokes who use their physical attributes to do the job.
Yeah.
However, those lads had more trouble than I did.
Yeah, I bet.
Because generally, if you've got a big lad turning up...
It just speaks confrontation, doesn't it, to some people?
It does, mate. And not only that, so I did my training. He was a mate of mine, but the bloke's huge, rugby lad. I think when I met him, he was like 22 stone, 6'4", huge bloke. But nobody would want to fight him. So whenever we turned up, the first thing that would happen is a phone call would be made, and then there's a car full or a bus full of people turning up. It was never one. And that was the issue. So people would happily deal with me, but when the lad I was used to work with turned up, they'd be on the phone to everyone in the area to turn up.
It's like that quote from Snatch, isn't it? Nobody turns up with a bloke the size trying to say something.
Mate, there's something to that. Something to that. So, the big lads used to get some aggro. But fortunately for me, one person managed to land a punch blindside me, and I got hit by a car twice. But other than that, I didn't get hurt. I was in a lot of ropey situations.
Yeah.
But some of the lads I used to work with did. Some of them got properly hurt. So,
really?
Yeah.
That's not what you go to work for. You say it's bonus, mate. It's danger money, isn't it?
Yeah. It is, mate. It was weird. I would never do it now. No. Looking at it now seems insane, because incrementally what we were doing, you get your basic wage and then you used to be on a commission of like a percentage of what the company collected. Never the debt, because the 100% of that went to whoever it was owed to, because it was court work. But whatever the company charged, you got a percentage of. So when you worked it out per call, it was maybe 150 quid a call. But you'd look to maybe clear 4 of them a day, 5 of them a day. So the money did mount up. But when you judge it on a case-by-case basis, it's like somebody saying to me, do you know what, Russ, here's 150 quid. Go and collect that 20 grand from that bloke.
Yeah.
And that was how it was, genuinely. But you never saw it that way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
But yeah, it must have changed your mentality going forward. whatever, or going back into paint? It must have been a massive change going from that back to, you went straight back to painting, did you?
I did, mate. Do you know, it felt like just putting an old pair of shoes on. It really did. It was.
Did you feel like a bit of weight off your shoulders, like you ain't got to go and knock in someone's door? And
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Yeah, it was.
Imagine if you got a call one day from a customer and it turned out it was one of your bailiff clients, like you knocked on the door for. And
That's
like,
never happened, mate. That's never happened.
what do you do now if no one pays you? If someone don't pay you, that customer?
Luckily, it hasn't really happened. It hasn't happened. I'll just mention if I think a customer's going to be a bit dodgy, I'll tell you about that time I worked as a bailiff for 4 years. But no, it hasn't happened. We used to work all around the country, so you didn't work in your own area for obvious reasons. So we used to work all over the place. The only thing that's ever happened was seeing a bloke I dealt with in a restaurant once when I was with the missus, and that was a story in itself, to be fair. But
really? Did he confront you?
No, he never confronted. To be honest, I remember him being leery at the time. And me and the missus had gone for some food. I hadn't known her that long either, so it was a great first impression. And we were sat somewhere having some grub. And my missus, she's gone to me. She's gone, you know that bloke over there? I'm like, what bloke? I've looked over. She's gone, do you know him? Because he keeps staring at you. And I've looked. I'm like, you get that like recognition. I'm like, oh, shit. Right, yeah. I said, I might have dealt with him in the past. And she knew what I used to do. And she's gone, well, do we need to leave? Is it going to be a problem? I went, well, no, he never kicked off on the day, so I doubt it very much. But he kept staring at me and then going out the pub on his phone and then coming back in. And she was like, well, he could be ringing his mates here. I went, no, I think we're all right. I was like, I'm not leaving my food. You know what I mean? I was enjoying me.
I'm hungry.
That was it. I'm hungry. We'll deal with it after. So finished our food. And anyway, long story short, mate, it's quite dull. Finished the food, left the pub, nothing happened. But the ironic thing is we got back in the car. It's when you know you make the right one. Get back in the car. My missus leans over and casually just drops the steak knife she'd been eating her steak with in the centre console of the car.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing? She went, well, I thought there might be people waiting for you. I was like, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, but bless her. You know what I mean? Her forefront was to think about you and protecting you, wasn't it? Do you know
she's
what
a
I mean?
Cockney, mate. She's one of your lot. So, yeah, she's feisty. But yeah, that's when you know you got your ride or die, don't it?
Yeah, definitely. No,
but yeah, it was a long time ago now. Hopefully, touch wood, nobody had recognised me. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, that. Well, so you went back into painting and decorating, and you've done that now since then.
Yeah, since then. Worked as contract manager for a little bit, but that was within the same thing. But yeah, pretty much, I guess, from 28 till now, so another 11 years back in the trade now.
So did the family business shut down then when you
Yeah, stopped it dead, mate. Stopped it dead. My old man was still doing bits for himself, but not under my business, as it were. I was really lucky, to be honest, because I built up a good reputation before, and when I stopped it and I decided I was coming back into the trade, I printed out a letter, went around half a dozen, 10 maybe, of my old customers that used to be really good customers, dropped a letter off. So like, sorry, I haven't been around, but I'm back in business. And I had 6 weeks work coming straight away. Oh, really? And it just snowballed from there. Yeah. A couple of big jobs come in and that
start
was it.
writing letters.
Mate, this was a few years ago, so things weren't where they are now with technology. But I was dead lucky in that respect.
But you've carried it on. But then, what we get on to now then is the podcast.
Because this week, when this comes out, it's actually Mental Health Week. Apparently,
that topic is within that's what your podcast is about, isn't
Absolutely,
it? Mental
mate,
health within the trades industry. And how did that come about, you thinking about doing that? Was there a reason for it? Was there a prominent fault? Or
no, there's probably a 10-year journey to so the Talking Tradesman podcast is what I've launched. And the whole, I guess the mission statement of that is to raise mental health awareness in construction. Because there's a crisis in construction when it comes to men's mental health in particular. Not, it's not just men, it affects women too. But generally speaking, the statistics show that men are struggling. So, to emphasise that, 75% of all people that take their own life are men. It's the biggest killer of men under 50. And so you've got that there. So you're 3 times more likely to take your own life if you're a man. By being in construction, which is the worst industry to be in for male suicide, you're then 4 times more likely again to end your own life. So it's 7 times more likely to end your own life through being in construction.
Oh, really? What would they say causes that then?
There is nothing here.
Nothing,
to be
yeah.
fair, I would like to think if there was a black and white answer, there'd be something being done.
Yeah.
There is no
We
answer.
can,
to
we
it, is
can,
there?
we can have suggestions of
Yeah.
theories of what it could be, and one of them would be the state of the economy and how things are getting tighter and more pressure on tradesmen at the
Definitely.
moment. Maybe I don't know, rules, regs.
It's things as well, like not even being paid and having to close your company down there. Like we
Right.
had a guy on last week, he got MS, didn't he? Because he hadn't been paid, closed his company
Really?
down, and
Yeah.
The way, see, I'm learning from all my guests, and they're all bringing different views to the table when I'm talking to them, and some of them have been in some really dark places. But there's a few common denominators when it comes to construction, which is long working hours.
Yeah.
You know, we've got no HR department looking after us. Money worries. Working in isolation's a big one as well. You know, a lot of people struggle because they're in their own heads all day.
Yeah.
But personally, I tend to think it becomes a combination of factors. So I think just being in construction, you're kind of at high risk because of those things, because of the pressures and the hours and the isolation. But then when something potentially in your life goes wrong, because let's face it, like, life's hard and nobody gets through it easily.
no.
Everybody's going to experience some kind of hardship. But when you're in the trades and you're then trying to deal with that on top of your normal week, you know, say you're dealing with a relationship breakdown for one, which, let's face it, again, a lot of blokes will go through, and maybe even more so because you're in the trades with the long hours and all the rest of it. You then put trying to deal with that on top of long hours, on top of pressure, on top of money worries, on top of isolation. And this is where people spiral.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's a huge issue.
Hello, you wonderful listeners and watchers. Just pumping the brakes on this exciting episode to let you know about Kieran's app that's changing the game in the gas certificate world.
If you're sick and tired of doing gas certificates on paper, then Gas Certificate app is your way forward. But it wouldn't be an app worth talking about if that's it. With no hassle, you can manage your diaries, invoices and quotes for all your jobs, so you'll never be chasing paperwork again.
Don't forget those boiler manuals. I can tell you how many times I've been looking at a boiler and thinking, what the? Thankfully, the in-app boiler manuals have saved me and got me out of quite the pinch.
If it's helped Pete here, then Gas Certificate app will definitely help you, especially with its easy-to-use gas reg calculator and the extremely handy ability to duplicate certs. Brilliant for when you're doing your annual services on previous jobs.
And for the icing on the cake, it has a complete offline mode. So if you're on a job in the middle of nowhere or servicing a boiler in the basement of a building with no signal, you've still got access to everything the app has to offer to keep you working hard.
So click the link down below or in the description. Use the code POD30 to get 30% off yearly subscriptions. That's for all new users. That's POD30 for 30% off our yearly subscriptions for new users.
I mean, yeah, I've got first-hand experience of that. You know what I mean? Going through a relationship breakdown, and like you say, you find yourself like in a corner. Your dynamic changes at work because then your whole life changes of like how to like deal with seeing the family, taking the kids to school. You get shared responsibilities that wasn't always. Your day just changes.
Yeah.
And if you're used to routine and that routine is gone bang, and you're doing stuff completely different, you're trying to fit things that you wouldn't have ordinarily have done, and that's where it goes a bit wrong. Even the fact of like me, I've had to change my van to having seats in the back of the van because I don't have a family car anymore, which then it might sound stupid, but like the little things like just not having a full van can play on you. Do you know what I mean? Like the mess in the van because it's not
things that add up.
Little things that add up. Do you know what I mean? And just that pressure of just like having to go. If you're a self-employed tradesman, if you like a lot of tradesmen's wives will do their accounts for them, etc. I'm not saying that's the way you do it, but then when all that is on you, and then you've still got to think about life with the kids and fitting in time for them, and then you might get a new partner or whatever, and all that juggling and that can have a massive impact on your state of mental health, can't
Definitely, mate. I'd say if it doesn't, there's probably something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, funny you should say that. Actually, that was probably the start point for me in my sort of journey into looking at mental health. Because admittedly, so I went through a relationship breakdown close to 10 years ago now. Got divorced. I was married early, married young, and it was at that point for me where up until that point, admittedly, I was very ignorant of mental health. I'd have been one of them lads going, yeah, I ain't got it, mate. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have mental health. I'm fine. I'm sound. I'm solid. And then I went through a relationship breakdown and my own circumstances. So I've got 2 kids, and my ex-partner, for her own reasons, moved my kids quite a distance away, like 200 mile away from where I was. So I live in the Midlands. She moved my kids to Devon for her own reasons. That's where she's from. I won't get into that. But what then followed from there was 2 years of court cases, all the pressures of that, you know, trying to get my head round initially, because I was always very involved as a dad. Like, I love being a dad, love my kids to bits. Yeah. All of a sudden, I had it put on me that I'm now a part-time dad. Yeah. And accepting that, mate, that was murder. Yeah. That was murder. And then, I don't know about you, Pete, or how you've handled it, but I really struggled then. I'd have little periods of time where I'd begin to accept it, and then the guilt for accepting it would flood me. So I was up and down, like, horrendously.
Massively. I mean, like, we all obviously I won't go too deep into situations, but it's that case of when I was with them, it was a case of you couldn't ever imagine not saying goodnight to them every night. Just something like that. It would. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
mate.
then
It's
for all of a
massive.
sudden that not to be there, it does you, and you're on your own, and you're in your own thoughts and stuff like that.
Horrendous, mate. Yeah.
And I'm trying to. What's the best way of saying it? Like you say, accepting that you are a part-time dad. That's the thing, and then what comes with that is bitterness, because you will feel bitter towards your ex-partner. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying like I'm not the perfect. I was never the perfect husband, right? I don't think anyone is. I don't think anyone's the perfect partner. Yeah, and we all do things wrong. We get things wrong, etc. But then it's about accepting responsibility for what actions you do. And I've done some stupid things. I've said some stupid things to my kids. I've gone about things the wrong way. I can tell you that now. I've gone about totally the wrong way, and I have to hold my hands up and accept that. But then, when I look at it, and I'm not trying to make excuses, when you're out there on your own and you've not got your kids, but you know your partner's with them kids all the time, they've got them kids all the time, you're the one who feels bitter, you're the one who feels lost out, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And whether or not, I mean, what happened with our relationship, I'll keep that private, yeah? But no matter what happened in the relationship, as a bloke who's then found himself on his own, to deal with that, I tell you what, it breaks you.
Oh, mate, I've been there. Yeah.
Completely breaks, and you know.
Yeah. They were my darkest times. There were a couple of occasions that stick in my head.
And
mate,
that's not all. And before I go on, sorry to interrupt you. That's not about trying to play a victim either. No. Do you know what I mean? Because you'll get people say he's playing a victim. A lot of blokes don't want to be in that position. They don't want to put themselves in that position. There are some blokes out there who cheat on their missus and that, and they won't give a shit about paying for their kids, and they'll fuck off, and do you know what I mean? And then they'll play the victim, but they shouldn't. Do you know what I mean? But if you're trying to do the right thing by your kids, and there's certain stuff that's out of your control, and you can't do anything about it, that is very, very hard to understand. A bit like mental health in a way. If you've not experienced it. It is mental health, isn't it?
To be honest though, Pete, as well, how many blokes go through this? How many marriages survive? The thing to me that I think is really important to realise and understand is that those two identities, so identity one being husband, right? You can be a shit husband, but that's you as a husband. That's not you as a dad. Husband and father are two different things. Yeah. So you could be an amazing dad, but a terrible husband, you know? All too often, though, unfortunately, when relationships break down, one gets tarnished with the other. Yeah. So bad husband means bad dad, bad person. Yeah. It doesn't. It just means that relationship, you might have been bad, but that's okay, you know, that's relationships. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was my darkest times, mate. Easily was that, and losing what I felt was losing my kids. I remember probably my worst moment in my life was the first Christmas Day. Yeah. Where I was on my own, and the way that I dealt with it, again spiraling because I didn't really understand things. I broke up from work 4 or 5 days before Christmas. I knew Christmas was coming. I knew I weren't going to have my kids for the first Christmas, so I just got smashed. 4 days I went on a bender, went on every night out I could go on, which then made me feel worse.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a bit depressing.
but yeah, completely broke me, mate. I remember Christmas Eve on that year, completely broken, went home and just sobbed, just cried my heart out. And on another occasion, stupid little things like my kids, after they moved, my ex bought them 2 cats. And after not long, maybe 6 months, one of the cats got run over. And my daughter rung me up sobbing. And she's 200 miles away. I can't pick her up. Can't cuddle her, can't comfort her. And she's crying her eyes out over the phone. And I'm just like, broke.
Yeah.
You know, look, what can I do? I can't, you know what I mean? And those positions, like, it's just horrible to be in as a parent. There's no blame. I'm not blaming anyone. It is what it is. But the way I dealt with it then was to bottle it up. Didn't talk to anyone, didn't tell anyone. I've got a great group of mates. I never, ever spoke to my mates about how I was feeling. Not once.
I think that's the difference in it, where I've been quite open book with a lot of my mates. I've told them, like, that's me as a person.
Yeah, you speak about everything.
I can tell. I can talk about anything. I do tell people about my woes and issues. I've always been able to speak to people. My old man taught me that. My old man told me to always talk to him about anything. If I told my old man anything, do you know what I mean? Because
that's brilliant,
he didn't want me to hide anything from him, because he couldn't tell his dad stuff.
Yeah,
that was the thing. And he said, on his deathbed, he said to me, he said, look, the most proudest thing about you is that you've always been able to tell me anything. I told him, like, look, when I was about 17 years old, I got a fucking sexually transmitted disease. How many kids could go to their dad and go, look, Dad, do you know what I mean? Back then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He came up to the clinic with us. He took us up to the clinic, do you know what I mean? Like, and I shared that with him, and that was the thing that, like, made him most proud about being a dad, not getting a sexually transmitted disease. He showed his hopes, but being open and honest and being able to tell him anything, you know what I mean? Even if I dabbled in drugs, I'd have told my dad. I wouldn't hide anything from him, nothing at all. And that, I think I've carried that on through my life, where I can actually share things with people. Obviously, on an open air, like, broadcast, like, I wouldn't say personal things, go in depth and that, but with my closer circle, my friends and that, I can tell them anything, everything, open book.
What a valuable lesson that your dad gave you there, though.
Yeah,
the value in that's massive, mate. I didn't have that. I was the opposite. My dad was the opposite. That generation, you don't talk about your feelings. You know, I think the first time my dad told me he loved me was I was in my 30s.
Yeah,
you know, so I was very different, bottled everything up.
And I think we could go down this route of, like, saying, like, your dad, when you was 8, was it? Like,
My mum and dad split.
I mean, it's about like having that father figure in your life as well. And there's a lot of, like, homes at the moment that are broken and that, and especially within the trades industry and that, like I say. And is this where we're gonna see a problem where blokes, young lads coming through the trade industry, maybe come from a broken home themselves and haven't had that, like, parental guidance through their life and don't know how to deal with it. Like me, I was lucky with it. But at the same time, when I lost my dad at 20 years old, I probably needed him more then. Do you know what I mean? As you're coming out from, like, kidulthood into adulthood, you need that. So I've gone a bit wonky, but I've always been able to talk and tell people how I'm feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Really makes a difference, mate. And that's one of the things, again, it's kind of like the whole thing behind the podcast. So, like, moving forwards as to how I got there. So, like I say, I went through that hard patch myself where my mental health, although I didn't realise it, was taking some serious blows. And I got to the point where I then, after a while period of being single, I met who is now my wife, and still going through court cases in the background and all this. And she recognised it in me. She sort of, because to be honest with you, I was suffering with anxiety. I was having, like, panic attacks, didn't know what was going on, but I was just masking it. I was just like, I'll just go for a walk or something. Yeah. And she pushed it. She was like, well, how are you feeling? I'd be like, tight chest and all the rest of it. And so, I was suffering with anxiety, with panic attacks over, like, court hearings. I got to the point where I was dreading my phone. Like, my phone would go off and literally my face would flush red. My heart would, like, speed up because I was thinking, what's that going to say? Do you know what I mean? Is that a message from a solicitor or my ex or whatever? And once she identified it and I actually looked at it and I went, do you know what? Actually, I'm struggling. I became fascinated with what I'd describe as the physical manifestations of my thoughts. So, i.e., my brain was thinking things and my body was reacting in a way.
Yeah.
And I became fascinated by it. So then I started studying psychology. So my therapy was education for me. So I started studying psychology, evolutional psychology, philosophy, all these things, like even Buddhism for like mindfulness and things like that. That was my way of therapy for myself.
There's an outlet. Yeah.
Well,
Helps
learning
your
myself.
mindset as well, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
So you don't stop these things, like you don't stop the worry, but once you understand it and then you develop coping mechanisms, that's how you move forwards.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and then because I've been in the trade for so long, I'm third generation, so I've seen my grandfather and my dad get to the stage where they work their whole lives and then, struggle with bad back, bad shoulders, bad neck. I mean, my granddad's generation, Christ, they didn't even have rollers. He had the old-fashioned wallop brush. I don't know if you've ever heard of one of them. Wallop brush.
A wallet brush.
It's where the expression, little bit of facts for you here, where the expression walloping it out comes from. Don't know if you've ever heard that one.
Walloping it out was something else.
There's that as well, mate. There's that as well.
I mean, I've
But
artexed
within
a
the
few
industry,
ceilings like that.
yeah. But an old-fashioned wallop brush used to be a brush about that,
Right.
that thick, and
Okay.
literally you had to hand paint everything. Ceilings a lot,
Yeah.
like when he started. So you can imagine your shoulders blown.
So what was he like then? Like when the rollers come out, was he like, well, that's not doing it right? Was he
Exactly
like
that, mate. Yeah. I ain't using them. What do you need one of them for? Until he sees like he's there doing that, and you're there with a roller, and it's done in a third of the time or half the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, where was I? What was I getting to?
Yeah, we sort of like.
Oh, I'm with it. I'm back in the building. So I sort of got to the point where I thought, "Do you know what? I need a plan B. Because I don't want to work myself on the tools to the point where my body breaks." And then it was a transition of, well, what interests me? Psychology. Like I've gone down this rabbit hole of that. So I probably studied psychology informally for 4 or 5 years, then decided I'll do this properly and started doing a BSc honours degree in psychology. So I started studying that. And then within psychology, you go one of 3 ways generally. You either go sports psychology, child psychology, or counselling. Now, I leant towards counselling because I like, the sort of prospect of helping people.
Yeah.
And then through doing that, I thought, well, I need to get some experience here. So I started volunteering. So I volunteer at Samaritans. I've done for 18 months now. And that was like a light bulb moment for me. It was like being in business for all these years is great, but it was so refreshing to do something that didn't revolve around money.
Yeah.
It gave me a sense of purpose that had nothing to do with money. The fact that there's no pay, that it's voluntary was great. And then doing that, I realised that I guess for a long time I've not been ticking a certain box in my life.
Yeah.
And the podcast side of it then, so with all that in the background, I just had a conversation with the missus one day and I went, "Do you know what? I feel like I need to bring something together where I can take like what I've learned at Samaritans, what I've learned learning psychology and all those skills, put it together and do something." And I just offhand said, "Oh, maybe I could do a podcast." Because I listen to a lot of podcasts at work.
Yeah.
You work on your own. I'm like, all podcasts. And she was like, "Yeah, do you know what? That'd be a good idea." I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sound." Forgot about it, me. I'm like, right, okay, done. 2 days later, I get a message from her going, "You free on Tuesday?" I was like, "No, I'm at work. Why?" She was like, we're viewing some office space. I went, "For what?" She went, "The podcast." I went, "What podcast?" She went, "We spoke about this." I was like, "Right, okay. Well, look, hold on. Like, calm down, slow down."
Yeah.
I said, "What is it?" So she briefly told me. I said, "Well, look, I can't make it. Go and have a look. Take some pictures. We'll have a talk about it on the evening when I get back." And if I'm honest, I'm at work thinking, "Oh, no chance, man. I ain't doing this."
Yeah.
Anyway, the evening comes and goes. She never said nothing. I kind of forgot about it. It got to maybe like 7, 8 o'clock. I went, "Weren't you meant to see that office today?" She went, Yeah. I went, "Did you go?" She went, "Yeah." I went, "Well, how'd it go? Did you get any pictures?" She went, "No, I don't need to. I signed a 12-month tenancy." I'm like, "Hold on, you did what?" And then I got, she was like, "Well, when can you do the refurb on it?" Because it's only a little office, mate, and it needed a lot of work doing. We've got it at a steel, to be fair. She went, "Well, when can you refurb it?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know, not this side of Christmas." She went, "Well, we'll have paid a month and a half's rent by then. Let's get on it." So I ended up December after work refurbing this space into our little studio and just jumping into it from there.
You've actually done that. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have started.
Massively, mate. Yeah, massively.
Sometimes you need that push, and like they always
We
say,
work well in that respect because I'm a huge overthinker. I'll come up with an idea, talk myself into it, and then talk myself back out. She's like all action,
Get it
just
done, yeah.
go. Let's just try it. So yeah, that was how the podcast was born, essentially. And yeah, no looking back now.
Yeah, but you've had some good guests on as well, haven't you?
It's been great, mate. Yeah, I'm at 24, I believe. 24 released episodes now.
on the first one, then, how would it like? Did you have a structure to the first one? Did you know what he was going to say? Was you nervous?
Do you know what, Pete? To be honest with you, mate, I was all right until about 10 minutes. So my first guest was James Reeve from Royal Spa Decorating, great bloke. And I was fine until about 10 minutes before he got there, and it just hit me like a tidal wave. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
Why am I
Yeah,
here?
yeah, mate. And still now, like, I've got huge imposter syndrome. I mean, I can't believe I'm sat here. Do you know what I mean? Like 4 months ago, none of this was here.
We all suffer imposter syndrome.
Oh, huge, mate, all the time. And I'm getting opportunities and being asked to do stuff now, and I'm just like, what? Like, how is this me? But yeah, 10 minutes before he got there, I literally had to take myself to the bathroom, cold water on the face, a lot. I'm like, just went into full panic mode.
Yeah.
But sat down, got through it, and he was like, no, I couldn't even tell you were nervous, mate. And got the first episode out there, and it's just steamrolled from there. I've had some incredible guests on. In fact, massive shout out to everybody that's been on the podcast, because without them, I'd be sat in an empty room talking to myself.
Yeah.
They are what make the podcast. I've just provided the platform for people to talk.
But it's a good platform, and you're making awareness of this, because it's like when you say you never understood it. I've said it before. My mum suffered from mental illness, and I didn't understand it. Do you know what I mean? As like a kid, as an adult, didn't really understand it, and mental health in that sense of thing. And when people don't understand something, that's when there's a stigmatism about it, isn't there?
Yeah.
So the more aware we can make it, then the understanding of it is better. But you were saying earlier that the government have actually cut funding for
mental health services.
Yeah.
So like charities, the likes of Samaritans, their funding has been cut. Yeah. It's interesting actually, because one of the things I learnt studying social science was that, you remember, everyone's heard of the asylums. Yeah. And generally everyone thinks of asylums and thinks that was a bad time in history.
Yeah.
But at the moment that the asylums were first launched and put in place, they were actually huge stately homes, massive grounds. Every county had to have one by law. That was the time where, according to like the budget percentage, ever since that time, it's been cut by the government. That was the time where the most funding and resources were put into mental health.
when there was less people.
The asylums. Yeah. Because they cost so much to build and run. Yeah. It cost an absolute fortune. So I think it was 1955, if I'm right, or 40. Yeah, 55 or 58. I might be wrong there, so don't shoot me for the facts. But at that point, the government reverted to this care in the community model that we now have. And ever since then, the funding for mental health has been cut. And it's amazing because there's more and more people suffering with their mental health. And one of the points I want to make there, actually, because you touched on mental health and mental illness, just to put that out there to everyone. Whether you like it or not, everybody has mental health. Everyone. Yeah. Every person on this planet has mental health. It might be that you've got really good mental health, therefore you never pay any attention to it. Yeah. And I'm going to poach one of the analogies, actually, again, shout out to James Reeve, that he gave me. And he said the way he looks at mental health is like a health bar on a computer game, like Tekken or Street Fighter, whatever your preference was. So everyone starts the day with a green health bar, full, potentially, if you wake up in a good mood. But life throws things at you. So the knocks that you get throughout the day, and that could be getting out of bed and stubbing your toe. Yeah. That's a little knock in your health bar. You could open the curtains, it's raining, you're meant to be working outside. There's another little knock. Car could break down. There's a knock. Everyone can only take so many hits before they're going to fall down. Now, obviously, you can do the reverse of that. It's not all negative. The things in life you can do to bring your health bar up.
Yeah, back up. Yeah.
But you have to realise that everybody has that health bar. There's nobody on this planet that can take a certain amount of stress, pressure and knocks that isn't going to be affected. Now, mental illness is, like you touched on, Pete, that's like a medical condition. So that's those conditions that have got names and terms and all the rest of it. They are different things, but the problem is a lot of people stigmatise one with the other. Yeah. And they think that by admitting they have mental health, it means they have a mental illness. It's not. That's where the education needs to come in. The conversations need to be had, and we need to break down the stigmas. Yeah. So again, I'm really appreciative that you guys have had me in today to do your bit in doing that. Yeah, no, because again, with the trades, and because we've obviously been pushing this van crime thing. Yeah, as well, the van. Which, if you have to get up in the morning, and like you say, you're talking about your health bar, and
before you've even got to the van, you're thinking, is it been broken into?
You're on edge, aren't you? Yeah.
When you're at work,
Yeah.
it's parked round the corner. Is someone? Do you know what I mean? That's all part of it.
Of course it is.
Do you know what I mean? That's all part of it, and that I think that's why within the trades is why we have seen an increase in such like mental health.
I think the first step,
not I'm not just saying about
it
about
all
your vans,
helps,
but it's
mate.
an all like
I think the first step to helping it is for everyone to sort of acknowledge that you've got that health bar.
yeah.
So once you know it's there, you can be conscious of topping it up. So you can be conscious of, do you know what, I've had a crap week this week. That's gone wrong, that's gone wrong, that's gone wrong. I'm going to look after myself here. And that's prime, you know, self-care is not selfish. So realising that you've had a bad week and thinking, do you know what, I need to look after myself. I'm going to do something nice for myself today.
Yeah.
I'm going to, whatever that might be, you know, that's good, that's cool. Because it's just looking after yourself, you know.
What would you say the clear distinction is from mental health and mental illness? Like mental health, just feeling down.
Mental health, yeah. So feeling down can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
Mental illness is things, I guess, you know, those are your mental illness, like their conditions. So things like schizophrenia, for example. I mean, that's the extreme end, but like split personality disorder, bipolar, stuff like that. That's a mental illness that is then managed by a medical professional.
Yeah.
Mental health is things like depression, anxiety, stuff like that, that sometimes you do need help with. You know, not everybody can manage that themselves. And although I'm not a massive advocate of medication, because I believe medication...
I was gonna say that actually. What's your view on medication?
My view is this: it's a very useful tool in times of crisis. So I'm not against medication. You know, if you're really at a crisis and medication's just going to level you out for a minute,
Yeah.
go for it. By all means, go to the doctors. Exactly, because you can't just take medication and think that the underlying cause is going to go away. It won't. So the problem with the medical model is that the medication treats the symptom, not the cause. So the cause of whatever has put you in that position is still there.
Yeah.
The pill won't take that away. But you have to look then and go, well, hold on, how have I got to this point? Have I got to the point where I need to take these pills? Now I feel a bit better. Maybe I'm a bit more clear-headed to look at it. But if you rely on any kind of medication to fix things, it won't. So either the minute you come off it, it comes back, or the issue will just divert itself into something else.
You sort of like just putting a plaster on it for a minute.
That's all it is, which is okay, you know. Everyone needs a plaster, don't they? If you're bleeding, get a plaster.
Yeah.
But maybe step away from the knife.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
Exactly, yeah.
It's one of those things. And again, in construction, that's one of those problems, isn't it? I mentioned this to you with my own issues. The way that I masked an issue in my life was to go out and get smashed and get drunk, which makes things worse. Yeah. And we've got the culture, haven't we, of lads, we work hard 9 to 5, or whatever your hours are. Nobody's 9 to 5, are they? I don't know why I said that. We work hard Monday to Friday, but a lot of people, myself included, all through my 20s, used to think, right, Saturday's mine then. So Saturday night, I'm going to go out, you know. And there's people, again, the trades, they're linked. There's a lot of drug use, let's be honest. You know, there's a lot of lads that will go out on a Saturday night, have a skinful, have a packet, and then they're back into work Monday. But do you really think that you can treat yourself that way, where you're burning yourself out Monday to Friday, then you're burning the candle all weekend, and eventually you're not going to crash? Yeah. Like there has got to be a degree of accountability as well, where you have to look. And again, I think that comes into acknowledging that you have mental health. Yeah. And once you acknowledge it, you can then recognise that you have to look after it. You know, it needs servicing now and again. Yeah.
And the thing is that everybody's mental health is different, isn't it? You've all got different tolerances to
absolutely
certain things, isn't it? So not every one case is going to be the same. So,
do you think is your long-term plan to stay in psychology and do a job in that? Or
I'd love to say I've got a plan, Kieran, to be fair. I mean, the podcast, when I started it, I had literally zero expectations of it. So no idea if it would be well received, no idea if it had, you know, initially I thought maybe I'll do an episode every 2 weeks or once a month, because I thought I'd have difficulties getting people to come on. The opposite has been true. So I've been doing sometimes 2 episodes a week, but at least an episode a week. I guess I'm leaning towards like maybe getting into counselling of some variety, because, you know, I'm just like everyone else. I've got a family I've got to support, so I need to earn money. Yeah. So I need to do something that earns me money. And if, you know, I turn 40 this year, so I'm having a crisis over that as well. But I don't really.
Don't worry about it.
Is it all right?
I'm 44, mate.
Is it all right?
Been doing this 4 years. Piece of piss.
Do
Got
you know what,
nothing to
though?
worry about it. You'll sail through.
When did you get into the trades? Are you straight from school?
20.
20.
Yeah.
So when I explain this to people, because people have said to me before, you're not that old. Not that I feel it, but I look and I think, well, I literally started going to work when I was so young. I kind of think I'm high mileage.
Yeah.
So I'm like, when you get a new car, but it does all the motorway miles, that's me.
Yeah.
So I've already, I've got knee problems. I've got my right shoulder. If you see me, if I were to try and hold a cup of tea, my hand shakes because I've got tendonitis in my shoulder all the time. Stuff like that. And I'm conscious of that. So I've set myself, by the time I'm 50, I need to be off the tools.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know where that'll be.
That is, I want to be off the tools by 50 if possible, because my knees are gone, completely gone. I get out of the van in the morning and it's like the old knees are going like, hang on a minute.
It's hard though, isn't it?
Wait,
it's hard.
and
the trades are hard.
And you get out of the van, especially if I've been on like an hour's drive. Like I'll get out and I'm like, I'm like a fucking like robot or just something just moving like.
Honestly,
I look like a 60-year-old for the first 10 seconds of movement.
Not enough people do it, but as simple as stretching. And I know it's like people won't stretch each day, but that sort of stuff.
I did try and touch my toes this morning. I did. I was in my bedroom naked, right? And I thought I'm just going to try and touch my toes naked. And I couldn't get down the first time. About 3 or 4 times, I had to really go at it because my back's playing up at the moment as well. But I think it's all about it's just like the food you eat as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's
all
like
makes an impact.
It's shit like the shit that I eat.
Yeah, I've just 2.5 weeks ago put myself on a program with a PT, a coach for that.
Yeah.
And if I'm honest, again, that was like a mindset shift because I've been doing that. So up until launching the podcast, I was in the gym quite a lot. My nutrition's always been terrible, but I was training. Then started the podcast and I replaced training with a podcast. So I stopped training. So I've just got back into going to the gym. But the way I looked at getting a PT, like a proper coach, because it's not cheap to have somebody do all the nutrition and that.
Keeps you accountable.
Well, initially though, like when I looked at Kieran, I went, that's a lot, 300 quid a month. A lot of money that. And then I framed it in my head and I thought, well,
you look good, Russ.
Last year, cheers, mate. I appreciate that. I don't feel it.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
Last year, I spent 2.5 grand on a dustless sanding setup, like just a different sander compared to this. I thought, well, hold on. I'm quite happy to. I'll do that in the blink of an eye. New bit of gear comes out, like in terms of sanding equipment, spraying equipment. Yeah, but I need one of them. But I won't give myself, say, 1,500 quid for 6 months on a nutrition plan.
If you ain't got your health, you can't.
Exactly. It's investing in yourself, isn't it? It's investing in yourself, and at the end of the day, exactly what you just said then, if I'm broke down, don't matter what equipment I've got in the van.
No.
But all too often, again, us tradesmen, we put ourselves at the very bottom. And especially, I think it's harder when you've got a family, because you look and you think, well, that's money I could spend on my missus and my kids or a holiday or whatever. And yes, it is to a degree, but also it's okay to put yourself first, which a lot of us don't want to do, myself included. I battle with it. You think, well, somebody else needs it more than me. But realistically, if you break down to the point where, something goes and you've got to have 6 weeks off work, how much is that costing you? Yeah.
And also, you think what people spend on a night out, they spend that and they could spend
Well, who's realistically... Wait, I've really got to go to the toilet.
I do.
Joe
I'm actually
Rogan
holding
break.
it in.
I don't want to rush this food. I don't want to rush the end. Really just... I'm really enjoying it.
That's what happens when you get over 40.
How long do you
you can't hold it in.
How long's your episodes? I'm conscious of waffling too much.
No, don't waffle. Don't worry. As long as you need.
You just cut out all the rubbish.
I was holding my toilet in actually.
Was it?
I was like, I'm gonna wait.
I think I've only done it once with my recordings. It was a mad long episode. I was like, I just got to. Joe Rogan does it all the time, so it's fine, isn't it?
Does he cut it out? No.
He basically goes. He just says, "You need to go to the toilet. I'll have a break now."
Might as well carry on then.
Yeah, just carry it on.
It's throwing me off. What was you saying? What was I gonna say?
Just saying about investing in yourself with the PT
I
of
think
stuff.
I spend, when I look at my outgoings, I spend mainly on myself, like hobbies and stuff like that, rather than I only buy clothes if I need it.
Yeah.
I got one pair of trainers. I ruined them last week as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mainly spend stuff on myself. Massively, I invested in myself for the last 2 years or something.
It makes it. Do you know what? I thought that because I'm paying the PT, the coach, £300 a month, which initially I thought, hold on, my gym membership's only like £100 for the joint one. But that said, I've saved so much money on the food that I'm not eating. Well, I'd say I'm not eating. I am eating. That was the other weird thing. I'm probably eating more. So I've only been doing it for 2.5 weeks now, but I'm losing weight, and I'm eating more. But I'm eating much better things.
The right stuff, yeah.
I was your typical. I was up in the morning, Greg's meal deal, followed by a Tesco's meal deal.
Mate, I love Greg's meal deal.
I haven't had one in.
I
think we're on to. I'm 17 days dry.
You know what I like in Greg's, right? I like a sausage roll in Greg's with a tomato soup and dipping it in the tomato soup.
Ooh.
I love the tomato soup in Greg's. That's all I ever get in Greg's if I go to Greg's. Which, to be fair, over the past few weeks has been quite frequent. Because my little girl likes the Tottenham cake in there. I should get her off of that, really.
I was nearly every morning, mate. Like it got to the point I'd treat myself once or twice a week, and then it just got worse. And it was like 3 times a week.
It's just too convenient, isn't it?
Was it £3.25, £3.75 or something?
Too convenient, isn't it? All them foods are just too convenient. McDonald's drive-throughs.
Tell you what, though, since getting off it, I feel so much better.
Energy levels.
So much energy. Feel so much less bloated. I haven't lost loads of weight, but I've started to lose weight.
Yeah, I need to get back on that train. I've just got a bike. I've got my bike back. So I'm going to start cycling because I used to do quite a bit of cycling, like mountain bike, not a racer, not one of them spandex lot.
Mate, I went through a time of doing that, you know.
I got a mountain bike. I like going on like trails and stuff like that. I do a bit of road. Obviously, you have to go on the road on it to get to these trails, but I was doing like 23 miles a day sometimes.
Just got to keep moving, and yeah, the minute you stop.
But I tell you what, though, that cycling is different. Like, you can cycle for miles and miles and miles, right? And after you'll feel all right, but later in the day, you'll be like this. Later in the day, it's like a slow burn. Yeah. You'll be like I'd feel myself sleeping in the day, probably because I wasn't eating the right foods at the time, or wasn't eating what I should be eating to counteract that
it's
burn.
mad, honestly. Like what I was doing before, so I was eating far more calories, but I was having like Greg's in the morning. Tesco meal deal at midday, and then probably a microwave meal at night. That's horrendous.
You are Eddie Boo's bloody
nightmare, mate.
Nightmare, yeah.
But I've gone on this coaching program, and he sent me like the list of food. I'm like, I can't eat all that. Like, there's so much food. Like, I don't feel hungry at all.
Right.
And I'm genuine. I'm skipping out meals because I'm like, I don't want that. I don't need it. It's like 4 meals a day. But
wow, we got time to deal with 4 meals a day.
Exactly. But they're obviously a lot more healthy. So, like, calorie-wise, we're saying.
It does take time, though, to cook and stuff, doesn't it? It's that extra preparation.
Yeah.
You have to get in a good routine.
If I won the lottery, I'd employ a chef.
It does. So it does take time to cook. However, if you think about it, if you order off Deliveroo, that don't land at your door instantly, does it? It's what you're doing while you're waiting. Probably sat watching telly.
Yeah, there's a lot of wasted time, isn't there?
Yeah. Are we back in the room?
Yeah.
Still going?
We left
keep
it
that
on.
bit in if you
Let's
want.
go.
You don't have to turn the light switch off.
I left it on for you, you div. Yeah.
That was a good one.
What do you think?
You got out of it there,
you
didn't
know
you?
what I mean? Yeah, quick thinking. Yeah. But let's like say about the old what could you have been doing like while you're waiting? People scrolling, isn't they? That's another major thing, isn't it? That's another that massively. I know we all do this social media and all that, but it is a massive contributor towards, I think, like poor mental health.
Huge. Yeah,
massive.
Huge. Again, especially in the trades. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and they said, don't you find it funny that in the construction industry, certainly when it comes to socials, you are either the best, so you're perfect, or shit. There's nothing in the middle. What you put on socials is either amazing or shit. Like, it doesn't seem to be, he's a mid-level Tyler, or he's slightly better than average, him. There's no like sliding scale when it comes to people's opinion. It's just like, no, it's either bang on or you need to be shot.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it, the way people react?
And that's the thing. Yeah, people put themselves up on it, on this pedestal, and I don't think some people really think about how they deal with that. They don't think about that sort of negativity, because there's negativity on social media.
Loads, yeah.
It's horrendous, isn't it? I mean, I was looking at a post the other day of somebody's, and like he was just getting battered for it on this post. But although he's laughing it off, still in the background,
It gets in. Yeah,
it gets in.
We're wired, though, aren't we, to absorb the negative comments? And it's true when people say you can have like 10,000 compliments and one negative. You'll focus on the negative.
Yeah.
And it does. You have to train yourself. And how do you lads find the socials, actually? Because I find the platforms, I don't know what you guys are on, but that's so different. Like, I find Instagram quite friendly.
Yeah.
Instagram's always been a friendly
Facebook's, but like TikTok and YouTube, that's savage.
Yeah, TikTok
Like,
is
some
just,
of those.
TikTok is just toxic.
Yeah.
They should call that toxic talk. TikTok, toxic talk, whatever you want to call it. It's just, I believe a lot of them are like, they're fake accounts, and I think TikTok employ people to put in comments. I swear, I think that's what they do.
Well, no, because apparently they're getting closed down, aren't they, in America?
Oh, yeah. TikTok have got a big legal battle, haven't
So
they?
I don't know if they'll be trolling to get shut down.
Yeah. Well, I reckon there's. I remember listening to a Joe Rogan episode, and he was talking about they have these like troll farms to instigate political discourse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They employ people to comment, or just like they get all these messages, and people are employed to whatever, to put the algorithm up to whatever. That is definitely a thing. Yeah. Definitely a thing.
It's mad, isn't it? I mean, there's definitely a huge negative side to socials, but at the same time, there's a massive positive side. I mean, all these opportunities now that people have got. Going back to business, the amount of business I get from socials is huge. You know, for what I do, because it's a finishing trade as well. Like, it's quite, Instagram's great for before and afters with my trade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, us plumbers try that, like with like the
shiny
pipes and all that. But like I say,
perfect 90-degree angles and that.
Yeah. So
can't see the solder.
I don't. I sort of like make fun of that a bit. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it's just a little bit of banter for me. But like finishing trades like yourself, like tilers and painters and stuff, you do get a big audience because you are gonna get the end user.
Yeah, it looks good visually. Interestingly, though, actually, swing it back to mental health. Did you know that the two worst affected trades in the construction are plasterers and decorators?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which again, finishing trades more likely to work on their own. So, it's the only correlation that I could come up with is that isolation element. Maybe the pressure as well. Because the other thing, like being a decorator, to fight our cause, people abuse us, is at the end of a job, like if anything goes wrong, you think if somebody's got a pot of money, we're the last ones in.
Yeah.
So if anyone's going to get knocked at the end, or anyone's going to be squeezed on the,
I didn't think.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Like, and they've paid. Everyone else has been gone. By the time it gets to the decorator, we're the ones that pick up the, do you know what, actually, we've run over. And I used to have this when I did commercial. So I went through a stage of doing pub refurbishments. Yeah. And I left the contract in the end because of it, because what would happen, this particular brewery that we were refurbing pubs for would have like a penalty clause with the tenant. So they'd say to the tenant, look, you got to shut for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But for every day you can't open after that, we'll pay you. Right. And then that would get passed to the contractor, like the main contractor. But then the main contractor would try and push it to me. So he'd be like, Russ, we're a week behind, so don't bother coming in until whatever date. I'm like, right, okay, yeah. And then you turn up on what was meant to be a 2-week contract, and now you've got a week, and he's going, you'll still be done Friday though, won't you? You're like, no. And then and it'd be like, well, we'll get fined otherwise. I remember the bloke saying, he was like, well, we'll get fined if you're not done by Friday, and I'll have to break that between the contractors. Like, what?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of madness that we have to deal with.
Yeah. Didn't think about that. But, I mean, you do paint pipes when you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't.
Listen, if the customer wants it painted, if the customer wants it done.
I used to hate that. We used to work on like
when you got to take a fitting off and it's all got all paint over it.
We'd first fix jobs like there's a no radter on, but all the ends of the pipes were like all painted and like.
Have you seen that tool people have been show and getting the paint off with on the drill.
Oh yeah, that's been out ages, isn't it?
Never seen that. That's good.
I must admit, I haven't done site work on new build for years, like 20 years since I've done a new build.
I haven't done it for years. Not like proper site work. I mean, I've worked in some new builds for builders, but when I'm talking about big, like flats, like big projects, like where it's all kind of like just it's flat bash, but on new build. So all the money's in the first fix, and there's no money in the second fix.
Well, that's it. People moan about like the decorating quality on new builds, but if you see what them lads get paid, like that's why.
Because
they have to be in
rush,
and out.
Everyone's got to be in and out, and
or they don't earn anything. So I mean, luckily for me, my own business demographic, I'm well out of that. You know, and I'm marketed to customers whose initial focus isn't value, it's quality. So if somebody's after value, probably don't come to me, because you get fine cheaper than me, 100%, but the quality will be different. So
definitely.
That's good.
So then with the podcast, then what do you reckon? You reckon you're going to do this for?
I've got no idea, mate. I've got no idea where it's going. It's kind of, I'm just riding the train, as it were, at the moment. I mean, I guess if I've got aspirations, it's just to... Sounds like nonsense, but genuinely, the reason that I've set the podcast up is to try and help people, raise awareness of mental health, get men talking, get people talking about all these different elements, try and break the stigma down, move the needle in the right direction. So for as long as people want to talk, I'll talk. My goal with it is just to try and get word out to people that it's there. So, because it might not be like, you know, it might not be your thing. You might not want to listen to something as heavy as that. And that's why, like, your podcast's great, because it's a bit more light-hearted. There's a bit more banter. You know, not everybody wants to listen to some of these heavy stories when they're at work. But at the times where maybe you're going to go through something, just to know that it's a resource, almost like a library book, but it's there, that you go, do you know what, actually, I'll have a look and see if there's an episode on that where I can get any help on that particular thing. I mean, I've had guests come on, like I said before we were recording, I've had an expert in the menopause come on, which is very niche, but there might be somebody with a wife in their 40s, 50s that's going through the change that just needs a bit of information. That episode's there. I've had people come on and talk about OCD. I've had people come on and talk about ADHD, trauma. Like, there's so many subjects that have been on, and sometimes you just need to hear somebody else that's been through it, because until you go through something, you don't know how it feels.
No.
You know. So I don't know, mate. I don't know where it's going. I'm just happy to be hopefully helping people. I get some incredible messages off people that are kind of letting me know I'm in the right direction. And I just want to grow the audience.
It's good to live in the moment as well, isn't it? Like, a lot of people look too far into the future and the past. Just
I genuinely believe that, like, there's a crisis with mental health, particularly men, and particularly in the construction industry. So I'm just trying to do my bit to move the needle in the right direction. And hopefully if more people learn about the podcast and more brands get on board to support it, it's just that. It's just breaking down that stigma. So we'll see. We'll see where we are in 6 months, a year, whatever it'll be.
What platforms are you on? YouTube?
All of them, mate.
Yeah,
all of them.
The Talking Tradesman, on all socials.
Search for the Talking Tradesman on any platform. So it's published on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Audible, anywhere where you can get a podcast, it's on, which makes it a nightmare to try and look at analytics. But again, I'm not focused on numbers. I just want it to get to people. So it's published absolutely everywhere.
It's good, mate. You got your missus behind you, like, supporting you on it and all that. So you look like you make a good team. You do a few lives together.
Yeah, we do a few bits together, mate. Yeah,
we've
done a few episodes together as well. She's a bit more light-hearted. Like, we come on, and because that's the other thing. Like, I'm conscious of doing the podcast, that although it's very serious, that it also needs to be entertaining. People need to want to listen to it. And so, like me, I've come on, I've told you a few stories that I've had. Most of my guests do the same thing. So they'll come and they'll talk about some funny stuff they've gone through, or things that have happened in their lives, which is all interesting, but then also touch on some important subjects. So I do the odd occasional episode with the missus, and she'll just take the piss out of me for an hour, basically. But you know, I'm still trying to bring some entertainment into it, so it's good to listen to.
I like it. I like
That's good.
Talking about painters, I remember when I did painting for a couple of
Painter or decorator?
no, painting. Not
Just
I wasn't in Russ's league. I mean, I went to work for a guy. There's a couple like Toshers, really. Do you know what I mean? Really? And they put us up they put me up a ladder. I was about 17 years old, right? Now it went up to a roof, and then on the side of the roof was a dormer, and I had to paint the soffit on the side of the dormer. Right, so what his bright idea was to put a ladder up on this roof, and then at the top of the ladder, instead of having a roof ladder,
Never had a crawler.
he put a step ladder and said, "I'll foot you at the top of the ladder, and you just paint the soffit." So I'm looking down, and it's like quite a fair way down there. But I went, "Yeah, all right then." So I've got up on the steps. Now, when somebody foots a ladder like that, it's often probably a good idea that you are not heavier than the bloke footing the ladder. This ladder started coming away from the roof, right? And he's going, "Pete, the ladder's coming away from the roof." I clung on for dear life, and however, he grabbed onto something to pull the ladder back in. That took me about half hour to get back down that ladder. I'll tell you, like the whole ladder, as I was coming down, it was just going, as he's going.
How were your legs when you got to the bottom?
Oh my God. I tell you what, I was just like, I absolutely bricked it. I bricked it and all the way down. And they're at the bottom laughing at me. And he went, "How heavy are you?" I went, 14 and a half. He went, "Yeah, I'm 13.
Do you know what though, mate? I remember when I first started in the trade, like again, we're talking like 23, 24 years ago, and scaffolding weren't a thing. Like you could not turn around to a customer and say, "You need to get that scaffolded, mate." So you're talking all your big old Victorian, Georgian, triple-story houses, and we used to rent. You can't even rent them now because obviously they're not legal. We used to rent triple extensions. I remember doing a job with my granddad, and it was a big triple 3 ladder. There was a builder working across the road. We had to go and get the builder to help us stand it up.
Yeah.
It was that heavy. So it was me and him on the bottom pulling, the builder pushing from the bottom just to get it up.
Yeah.
And then it had wheels on the top ladder and a rope pulling system. So we've got this, and it's murder, like just staggering it round the house as we're trying to move it round. And the gable, you imagine the height of a triple-story house with then a gable end. So you're 4 stories up.
Jesus.
And we were doing this job on a big, like I say, this big Victorian, and I was very young to the trade. And my granddad had left early one day, and it had rained, and I was like, I just want to do this last little bit. And I was only on a little ladder, and I pitched it wrong, and it was on a courtyard that was slippy, and it slid. I fell off the ladder. Down on top of the ladder, I was still holding onto it. So all my body weight on top of the ladder, and I broke my hand. So I come into work the next day, tried to pick it, like I didn't go to the hospital. Come into work the next day, tried to pick a pot of paint up, couldn't hold it. My granddad was like, "What you done?" So, didn't want to tell him. I've come off the ladder. I bruised all my ribs because I'd hit something that was in the courtyard as well. He was like, "You prat, what are you doing?" I told him. He went, "You got to go down the hospital, go get that checked." So I went to the hospital, and they were like, "Yeah, I'd broken some little bone in my hand here." And I remember they said, "Look, we're going to have to put a cast on your hand." I went, "I can't have a cast. I've got to finish this job," because we'd rent. And the daft thing was, it was me at like 18, because we'd rented a ladder. I was like, "I can't. I've only got the ladder 2 more days. I need to be able to do the job." They were like, "Well," and they gave me this like glove thing with a metal rod up.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm there with one broken hand. I can't hold on to nothing. I've got this massive ladder, 3-story ladder, and my granddad's going. He went, "Well, I can't go up it, Russ. I'm not insured to go up that high." And me at 18, I'm like, "Oh right, okay then." So I'm at the top of this like 4-story triple extension ladder. With a broken arm, a broken hand I can't hold on to. So I've just got my arm wrapped around it and I'm painting with the other one. And my granddad would just be stood at the bottom, just pissing himself. Or he'd occasionally kick the ladder just because he thought it was funny. He'd be like, "Well, get your balance right." All these lads. And I dread to think, mate. It's
crazy,
these days, I'd look at a standard height house and go, scaffold it.
Yeah.
I'm not risking myself.
I see him in the same company, like pitching ladders off the top of a van, and shit like that. You know
mad,
what I mean? It's just like to get like a little like window done or whatever. But you just think to yourself like they did some mad things like back in
Health and safety's gone through the roof now, isn't it?
I mean, for a good reason, right? Yeah, we do need health and safety, but sometimes I think, Jesus Christ, it has gone like overkill sometimes, you know, where you've got to walk around site. You're walking around site from like flat to flat, and some of the companies expect you to wear goggles, a hat and gloves. And you walk past one of the tenants and they're in their slippers and sliders, their sliders and dressing gown. You think to yourself...
I remember the first time I saw, you know, the like new build scaffolding with the staircases. The first time I saw one of them, I was like, what the hell's that? So they don't have ladders to go up anymore. They have like stairs.
Proper stairs.
To go up,
I don't think I've seen them yet.
Have you not? No. There was a site by me that had them all on all the new builds. I can't remember who the builders were. But yeah, and I thought, well, this is the next thing, isn't it? Ladders are banned.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be proper staircase, be lifts next.
What are you doing, Kieran, when we got to like make a fluo in? Sorry, love, you got to... You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you've got to...
Well,
hang out the
a couple of years ago, I had Sky come round to fit a Sky dish, and you're talking about 8 foot off the ground. Could have done it off a pair of steps. They turned up with proper ladders, hard hat on, harness, had to drill the house to latch the, what's the right word? To like attach the ladder, had to be like strapped into the house, which he then had to mortar the holes afterwards to put a Sky dish up. And I kid you not, on my tiptoes I could touch it. And he was like full. He looked like he was ready to climb Everest when he come out the van. I'm like, "You're right, mate." He was like, "I got to do this. I've got to wear it all because I get sacked if I don't."
That's mad, isn't it? Because they all have probably auditors and that walk around and all that all the time.
I mean, I guess it's one of those. If you're getting paid for it, and they now know that to put a dish up's a whole day job because it takes you half the day to get your kit on, and you're getting paid, don't you?
Don't you think though? Like health and safety though, it has like. Sort of like saved fucking idiots, though, innit?
It is, mate. Yeah.
Whispering if someone's here.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like all the people like proper idiots who probably shouldn't be here.
Yeah, but they probably don't wear it.
Do you know what though, Pete? I read a thing the other day, an article, and it said like, you know, the technology is flying. We're all meant to be getting smarter, but if you look, there was a car manufacturer. And it was like when, I say Ford, for example, but when they used to sell this particular model of car, there was like a booklet in it, and it used to tell you how to change the spark plugs and how to do all this mechanical work. And now when they sell a car, it has like a sticker on the battery saying, "Do not drink the battery fluid." It's like, have we really got more clever?
Yeah. A packet of peanuts. This may contain
nuts.
You know what I mean? It's like,
exactly.
It's just crazy. But I've really enjoyed this.
Yes,
So have I, mate. I've genuinely enjoyed the conversation. So once again, really appreciate you guys getting me down.
Did you want to cover anything else?
I don't think so. Other than, you know, go check out the podcast if you get a few moments.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Appreciate the invite.
No, thanks very much. We really appreciate it.
All right, this has been another episode of Off the Job Podcast.
Thanks for watching the show on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts and all other streaming platforms.
If it's your first time watching or not, make sure to subscribe below and follow us on all the big social media stuff like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
For our overtime show on Monday, send us in your stories and comments for it to be read out on the show. Send it in via email, direct message through our social media accounts, or WhatsApp us on 07457 406 259.
And we'll see you on the next episode.